The prosecution made much of Darlie's inappropriate behavior. For instance, the first policeman on the scene testified Darlie didn't seem concerned about Damon.
He's got his eyes open, and he's trying to breathe. I told her that she needed to help him, but she just wouldn't help him.
That's a lie. There's no other words to use. That's a lie.
She says she comforted Damon.
I told him to hold on. I told him to be strong. And he said, "Okay, Mommy." And he shook his head. That was the last words I ever heard him say.
The grief muscle is powerful, but we see grief when she's talking about her innocence as well. So it's an unusual place to see it. And I think that this grief innocence has been what gained her the primary three things since childhood, which is compliance, control, and social reward. We get what we want from other people. And when she says that's a lie the second time, it's rare to see it, especially in a video that's older than, 5, 6 years old. There's pupil dilation. There's about 1.5 to 2 millimeters worth of pupil dilation. And this is part of our nervous system. And especially, this is some research, if you want to look this up, this is Kupkova. This is very recent, 2017 is the most recent study I've found. That pupil dilation is directly associated with high levels of stress and deception. And there's no emotion as she initially recalls the first thing she said to her child. None. And then I think she realizes when she says the second part of this, she realizes, oh, I forgot to turn that on. And I've got no research to back this up, but I've never once in my life seen a person go through an extreme emotional high of crying and feel the need to make eye contact at the same time. Because those two things don't match up. The high emotion and the drive for social connection are different, especially in this kind of environment. So I obviously didn't poll the guys here, but I would say when someone's freaking out, they don't care whether or not you're looking at them. They don't care what you think. They don't care what you feel. They're going through their own stuff. And there's no vocal tremors towards the end. When there's high emotion, there's high crying. This is another autonomic nervous system response for stress, grief, and crying. There's none. So listen to how smooth and perfect it is. Even with the tears and everything, I want you to hear how smooth it is, which is another high indicator of deception.
I told him to be strong. And he said, "Okay, Mommy." And he shook his head. That was the last words I ever heard him say.
And I'll go ahead and say it. I think we're dealing with a psychopath, and I'll explain more as we go along. Now, what we're seeing up there is what she thinks is the grief, emotion of grief. So that's why we see those eyebrows coming together and pushing like that, because she thinks that's what it is. She thinks it's in and up, where this should come down and make that upside down horseshoe. We don't see that. It gets close because there's a lot going on in there, but she doesn't pull that off. And I think she's looking down the barrel of the camera. She looks right down the barrel because, like you guys were saying before, she's practiced that. That's rehearsed. When psychopaths find out they're psychopaths, when they realize they're different from everyone else, a lot of times it'll go down like this. For example, and this is like the example, like a Robert Hare example. He's the Elvis of psychopathy. Now, if you're a psychopath and you didn't know it, you'd probably live, if you lived in Nashville, you'd probably live on 2nd Avenue. Down where there's a lot of stuff going on. It's where the bomb went off this year. And because it's always very active. Most likely you won't live in a little small town. You're going to live in a bigger town where there's action going on, because you really don't feel anything. You don't realize you don't feel anything, but the rushes you get come from adrenaline, sex, and drugs. Not that you're going to be a drug head or out being promiscuous, but you'll want something to make you feel something. And you realize that people, being around a bunch of them, will give you that feeling. Now, let's say it's Saturday night and you say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have Chinese food for supper. So you go outside and you go downstairs and you're down the stairs and you're walking down the sidewalk and you come upon a scene. You see down there's an ambulance, there's a bunch of police cars, a bunch of people standing around, and you come walking up on that and you know something important's going on. You're not sure what it is. And you come up on there and you see the mother, she's all bent down over a little child who's been run over by a car, and the child is dead. and you see the mother and you see the child laying there, you know the child's dead, and this is, you understand it's important. And then you look at the scene, you see all these people with this look on their face of concern. You don't know it's concern, you just know it's a look. And then you say to yourself, sweet and sour chicken. I'm going to get sweet and sour chicken. And you go get sweet and sour chicken. You come back and you pass that scene one more time on the way home. You eat your sweet and sour chicken. About an hour later, most of the time, you'll find that person, or they'll find themselves in the bathroom in the mirror trying to imitate the emotions they've seen on the mother's face, because they don't know what that is. They've seen other people do it, but now it's one of those things where you're in your early 20s and you go, I'm going to check that out. Not that you have the feeling something's wrong with you. You won't have that, but you'll know you're different from everyone else. And to be able to fit in and be able to work your way through people and society and take advantage of everything, that's what you're going to have to do, is be like those people. So they'll be in there practicing, and I think that's what she's done. She's been practicing these emotions maybe since she was in her early 20s or mid 20s. And that's what we're seeing. That's why, Mark, you're right. She looks right down the barrel because she's checking herself to see how it looks and saying, yeah, well, look at this, because that's what she's doing to herself in the mirror. So I think it's just a click back to that as she's doing it to make sure it's cool. She looks over at the camera and makes sure you see that. If you like this video, get the full body language breakdown and analysis on our main channel by clicking this video right here.
I know it.